everyone, and welcome to the Let's Talk More Wrestling podcast. The wrestling podcast will review NXT Takeover Brooklyn 2 Electric Boogaloo. It's Turbo Tony here, as usual. Funny, you know what's funny about that, actually? I've marked up my intro here. It's Matt Marsader alongside with me here. That's not in my notes, the whole Electric Boogaloo thing. But here's the thing. The name Turbo Tony is a character in Electric Boogaloo. In Breaking
That's what it is. I'm just thinking it's like we're going to rock down to Electric Boogaloo. That's not even the line.
No. It's so basically like a bit of history behind that. I've gone so fucking tangent. This wasn't planned, but fuck it, I'm doing it anyway. So, like, my dad was like a big fan of breakdancing, right, when I was young. So, like, he got the breaking movies, and one of them was a character called Turbo Tony. He was this small guy who used to do a lot of he was a good dancer, basically. I used to watch it all the time, and that's kind of where my nickname came from, Turbo Tony. So there you go. Little bit of thing in there for you there, Matt. Did you enjoy that?
That's good.
Yeah.
A bit of history.
Yeah, and all those people were like, "Oh, well, I thought we were going to talk about NXT." Well, we'll get to that. How are you doing anyway, Matt?
Fine. Just not enjoying the current summer.
Yeah,
struggling over here.
We are British, of course. Any even a minor degree in raising heat, we don't fare too well with.
That's it. It's like it's like if it goes like 10 degrees in any direction, we'll just find a reason to complain.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So of course we're going to be reviewing NXT Takeover Brooklyn 2, which aired on the Saturday night. We've watched a lot of pro wrestling. I'm just going to say right now, myself and Matt, we are very much burnt out to the point that we're like, ugh. So if any of our views here are a little bit jaded, then you have to take that into account that over the course of like 8 days, we have watched far too much pro wrestling. So
that's just like I'm having that terrible flashback of like Mania weekend.
Oh God! But luckily we won't have another weekend like that for a little while. So at the very least, on that front. And it's one of those things that I expect to be busy, but you don't expect it to be as busy as it is until you're like hip deep in all of it. So, but we are here. We will review the show and give our thoughts on the newest NXT Takeover show. And the SummerSlam review will be coming out tomorrow. So all of that good stuff there for you. Lots of content this week. Anyway, Matt, let's procrastinate no further. We do have these shows to review and get straight into. So, of course, it's the second special in Brooklyn for NXT. The largest NXT show to date in terms of size and crowd attendance. And
I mean, that's the one thing I quite like, especially with like Brooklyn, where it's just sort of like, it's like, how big is NXT? Well, it's in the same building as SummerSlam and the same attendance as SummerSlam.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell very much so that the brand maybe doesn't have like as much of the mega global appeal as WWE, but in certain pockets where you've got more hardcore fans, they got no problem selling out. I mean, they sold out at the at Wembley Arena, absolutely no problem. I know it's a smaller arena, but still, you know, they could. There was a lot of people that would have gone there if they had tickets. Let's just say that. You know,
Wembley Arena? Yeah, it was Arena.
Yeah, that's it.
I know think it was the O2, but that's where that was Raw.
Yeah. We've been there a couple of times, Matt. We went there for an Altbridge concert as well, so there's that. Now, there was a bunch of matches here that will probably get shown next week on NXT. We're obviously not going to review them because we haven't seen them, and that's just the bottom line of it here. So we're going to tell you what we thought of general of the show. Just overall, however, just before we get into each of the matches, I will say after coming off the back of a 4-hour SummerSlam, feeling the fatigue, this 2 and a bit hour NXT special is so much more easier to digest. And I know I say this all the time, but it warrants being said that watching this show, it doesn't test your patience when you watch an NXT special, which is obviously very, very good. At times at SummerSlam, Matt, when we'll get to that review tomorrow, but SummerSlam, you're feeling the effects of it. You know, you're getting into that 3rd hour, Matt, and suddenly you're thinking, this is...
it's tough.
You know, he's starting to get... Yeah, that's it. Anyway, let's get into these matches anyway. So, it kicks off with No Way Jose coming out. He gets a decent response here, and he gets the human conga line going around the entrance,
Mm-hmm.
with people looking like they're having far too much fun doing it. But fuck it, I probably would be one of those.
I feel really sorry. To be fair, I feel really sorry for the guy who's like right at the front of the conga line because he's like reaching. He's like, "Oh, I'm actually leading this." Like, Jose, yeah.
Matt, if it was you and me in that conga line, we would have been like playing it up big time. We would have been doing all the gyrations. We would have been doing all that shit. You would have, Matt. They would have had to have stopped us doing the worm. We would have made it uncomfortable if we were in that. But still, no Jose. People know I'm not a big fan of his gimmick, but you look at him, Matt. He's a big guy, right? He's got a great build, and this match was, proving some of his in-ring quality, shall we say, against. I know I've said negative things about Austin Aries, but he's a good wrestler. I would admit that, even with my less than friendly thoughts on the guy, but he still is a stellar pro wrestler.
Yeah.
So to be able to keep up with him, and you've got to give Jose the props on that. What do you think of this match, Matt? Do you think it was? Do you think it was? To me, I thought it was good, but no way was it. No way Jose's coming out party, shall we say?
Yeah, I think that's safe to say. I quite enjoyed it. Oh, it was a solid match, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, it was alright. It's probably the worst way to go, yeah, and just sort of like half-arse it, but yeah.
It kind of did its job to get the crowd pumped up, but I would ask the question that what match could you put here that wouldn't get the crowd pumped up? That's a crowd that wants, is ready for it to be good. They're going to give you a little bit of slack here and there. So
yeah.
Now, what was the more interesting part here? Now, Austin Aries does pick up the win. Jose had his moments, Matt, but what was more interesting after this is Hideo Itami comes on now. Afterwards, all suited and booted. He does rock a suit pretty well, does he, Itami? He comes out and goes nose to nose with Aries. They end up brawling, and then Itami gets the better of it, and then it is time. The go to sleep. That's almost 2 years in the making here. He picks Aries up. The crowd pops, knowing exactly what's about to happen. He hits it, and that crowd felt like it gave the combined pop of the last 2 years that they would have done if he'd been using that move throughout that time.
Yeah, that's it. Especially they teased it for so long, building up to it.
Yeah. It was fun. It really was. And I will say in terms of Itami, not that I was never against the guy. I always thought that he was quite talented. I don't know, Matt. It's not as if he's doing anything innately different since he's returned. But I'm just way more on board with him now than I was the first time he came around, in NXT.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just the way he carries himself. Maybe he's just a bit more confident now. But I'm looking at this guy and I'm like, yeah, okay, whereas maybe back when he debuted and you had Finn Balor come alongside him, and suddenly you've got the Demon, and that's a bit more exciting maybe on a production level. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to Itami. And tell you what, Matt, this leads to an Itami-Aries feud.
Oh, yeah, I'm good for that.
Yeah.
That'd be quite an interesting one.
Those two guys could put on quite the match, shall we say. Here we go. So, the next match, Billie Kay comes down. And all I will say, in terms of the woman that was her opponent for this night, is we've been talking a lot about the women's division NXT needing some help. Well, the reinforcements are coming, and fronted by one woman, Matt, and that is the debuting Ember Moon. She is, Matt, I was so impressed. She is exactly what this women's division needs.
Oh, yeah.
I love the opening visual. You've got the blood red moon and the darkness, and I thought her entrance gear pretty cool. The blood red eyes, Matt, right? They're instantly recognizable, right?
That's true, yeah.
You see those eyes, you think, oh, that's Ember Moon right there. And I tell you what, all that thing aside, the presentation, very, very good. that doesn't matter if she's not any good in the ring. Because what we need is good female wrestlers to fill out this roster, especially as we know that a very established member of this roster just went up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. So it's like, especially when we were talking about it, it's sort of like, oh, well, it's a shame that Ember Moon has now come straight into sort of third place. Nope, she's now second place.
Yeah, she is. So we needed her to be good in the ring, and she is.
Oh, just phenomenal.
Yeah, she is.
It was a great match to watch.
Yes, this is a great debut from her. Now, clearly, she's not the finished product, but that's what's even more exciting, right? I think she came over really well. I think she's going to learn a lot.
The crowd took to her really well.
Yeah, I think the presentation's fantastic. So awesome on that front. I think she did a great moment for her. She gave a good account of herself. That's what I'm getting for, on that front. Billie Kay, she is what she is. I haven't seen her improve since I saw her last year. That's part of the issue, what I've been saying for some of the women there. I will say, however, that one of the most memorable moments of this match was clearly the ending, where Ember Moon's finishing move is one of the sickest finishing moves I've seen in a while. And I don't mean that just in the NXT women's division or in the entire women's division. I mean in the company. This was... Matt,
that tornado stunner. It's just sort of like, oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah. And you know what's funny about that, Matt, is that you've got an established pro wrestler in John Cena who tried that springboard stunner so many times, and not even once it managed to come on. Yeah. Ember Moon comes in night one, hits this. I don't know, it's not the same. This is probably harder to execute in a sense. She literally hit this pitch perfect. Not even a centimetre out. It was perfect. I see very big things for this woman, and I'm very impressed. And she's exactly what this division needs now more than ever, Matt, as we said, with a certain someone going up, as we'll go to. But are you quite impressed with Ember Moon? We need more, really. We need more than just her. But
for now,
a good start.
Do yeah. Oh yeah, it's a solid start. And it was really.
Do you think it's too early to put her in a feud for the title, though? Or is it needed?
Possibly. I think it could be too early to throw her into that picture, but yeah, I don't see why not.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you're looking at the other options, and I don't think people would take to another match as well as they would Ember Moon. I know it's very early, but that's just the way that the chips have fallen. So there we are anyway. Going from that, Matt, I feel like talking about something a little bit special. Dare I say, glorious. Yes.
Indeed.
Oh,
indeed.
Yes. Bobby Roode versus Andrade Cien Almas. It takes quite an entrance, Matt, to rival that of Shinsuke Nakamura. But here on this show, Roode gave it his best bloody shot, and it's up there. It's up there as Roode is on this, on this platform that slowly descends, and he's there, and he even turns on all of his Titantron lighting with just a flick of his hands, and you could tell he was loving this, Matt. He was loving this, this environment. This has probably been the biggest crowd he's ever wrestled in front of.
Oh yeah, quite possibly.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. Actually, it's just so if you look at it, and you're guys who are former TNA, you're it's got to be their biggest.
It has to be. And TNA's obviously had some good arenas, but you're talking the better part of 20,000 people right there. That's a lot of people. And I will say, Matt, that when it comes to this glorious gimmick that Bobby Roode has now and he's using, I'm in love with this gimmick. If I could marry a gimmick, Matt, it would be this one. And the wedding would be glorious, of course.
That's it.
It's awesome. But I'll tell you what's a little bit of an interesting thought here. While I'm so high and I'm so happy and I'm so entertained by Roode's gimmick, Andrade Cien Almas just doesn't seem to have one on the flip side. Apart from an affinity for suspenders, maybe that's his thing. He loves suspenders and a hat.
I guess that's it. And then it's sort of like, oh, you like these suspenders? Well, time to get rid of them.
Yeah. It's. I know a lot of people value Cien Almas as a very good wrestler. Clearly, he's got some talent. But it's one of those things that you look at him and you look at the response that Roode got with this gimmick. Everyone, Matt, from week one, bang, they were right behind him. They were right on it. And it's hugely entertaining right off the bat. Cien Almas has had over, he wrestled at the last special. And he feels like he's got no traction since then.
Because let's not forget, 100's bigger than 10. Oh, cheers, Leah.
Yeah. It's just not good enough on his front. I'm sure he's good in the ring, but his presentation is not even a scratch on Bobby Roode.
No.
It's not even close. So, still, I will say, though, in terms of the match was okay. It wasn't anything fantastic. And I think that Bobby Roode's finishing move is a pile of trash. I will say that.
Yeah, what? I can't even figure out what it is, really.
It's a pump handle slam. You're expecting it to be something at least a little bit more exotic. But
I feel like a move for just sort of like, I don't even know what it is. But it is something as simple as that.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought maybe you would do a pump handle slam and maybe you would turn it into like a split-legged driver or something, a little bit like the driver that package driver that Pentagon has, but he does it from a pump handle position maybe.
Yeah.
But no, it's just a pump handle slam. That's all it is. I'm not too keen on that at all. I don't think it's going to work. I think he needs something different. I think it's called like the Glory Bomb or the Glorious Bomb or something like that.
I think it is like the Glorious Bomb.
Yeah, it'd be much better if it was just a plain power bomb than what it is now.
Yeah.
But he needs something a little bit more unique. The pump handle slams are going to go. Everything else for Bobby Roode though is working.
Stellar. It's glorious.
Absolutely working. Yeah, exactly, Matt. There's no other word to explain it. It's just like AJ Styles is phenomenal. Bobby Roode is glorious. Yeah, so it works off the bat. A great debut.
I think this is another one of those moments where, you said, like, TNA must be kicking themselves for letting this guy go sort of thing. And it's like to put on, like, it was a stellar match, to be fair.
It was good. Like, it wasn't great, but it was good, yeah.
Yeah, okay. It wasn't, like, the greatest match of the night or anything like that, but it was a damn good showing for, like, debut match.
Yeah, you know what, as well, it's, even if you take away the in-ring portion of it there and be subjective, it's just the response he got. People are immediately on board. Some people work for years. Roman Reigns wishes he got any sort of response that Bobby Roode got. And Bobby Roode is meant to be a heel, right? But people just seem to love it, They seem to really get behind it. So
I think it's safe to say that they're just like, oh, we want him to be a heel. It's like, you're not going to get him as a heel.
Yeah. Well, maybe with a bit more time and you can cut a few more promos. I at the moment, Matt, it's entertaining no matter what he's doing. So I wouldn't want them to try and shelve this gimmick. It's working, right? Just change your plans a little bit.
I like it. We wanted to be an arrogant guy. Arrogance usually doesn't go over well. Nope. This one's going over really well.
Yeah. But he gets the win here, which is the right decision. Cien Almas has just got no momentum, and Roode has. That's just the bottom line of it there. Very, very, very happy for the guy. Let's go into the championship matches then, the last three matches of the night. The first being the Tag Team Championship, the Revival versus Tommaso Ciampa and Gargano, Johnny Gargano. As much as I love American Alpha, Matt, and I do, the Revival keep putting on match of the night performances and stealing shows every single special that they're involved in.
And the thing is, it's like, especially with this one, I don't know if it's like, oh, it's because it was Gargano, like Gargano and Ciampa. It's like, no. That was just a stellar match, especially from, like, to proper show how heels do it.
Yeah, they're the quintessential heel tag team.
Like current day, like rather than sort of like going back and watch old footage, if anyone wants to know, like, how do I be a heel in the current era, watch them.
Yeah. They've got every dirty trick in the book, Matt, and they're not afraid of using it. Right?
Like that sneaky, like what was it, where Dawson just falls into the ring so the ref doesn't spot the tag.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Yeah, and even commentary was really good in that moment because they were like, "What are they doing?" And suddenly you realise what they're doing, and
it's like, "Oh, I know."
Yeah. The reason why I want to bring this up though, Matt, is that a lot of people. I mean, I've heard the same things as well, Matt, with the quality of this match. They're saying, "Oh, it's because they're wrestling Ciampa and Gargano," and then last time it was because they're wrestling American Alpha and. Oh, they're wrestling blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, the Revival had far too many world-class matches to not get any credit, right?
For it to just be it's all down to the opposition.
No. You need two teams to tango in a match of that quality, and the Revival performed their role excellently. Like that, there's just no other... I will not take on any other debate on that fact.
Yeah.
That's just... the way I stand on it. And I know you do as well.
Oh, yeah.
They are, Matt, the best heel tag team WWE has currently. And yes, that is above Gallows and Anderson, what they're doing currently.
Doctor?
Let's not go there. Hopefully that shit ends. I've yet to watch Raw.
Considering that was like my first, I hadn't really seen it, because obviously I'm not the Raw guy, and I just saw it like that little backstage skit, and I was like, oh no.
Imagine that with green screen stuff in the background, and then you can kind of understand what I've been dealing with the last 2 weeks. But still, I'll tell you what as well is that this is just straight up an absolutely fantastic match, the best of the night. Not by a clear mile, but by a decent amount as well. I don't think anything else came.
By a clear margin.
Yeah. They had the crowd eating out of the palm of their fucking hands. They really did. There was so many close calls, so many great spots, so much chaos, but controlled chaos that invoked a response from the crowd.
So much great tag team work as well.
Yeah. This is tag team wrestling. It's reminding us what great tag team wrestling can be at a very high level. Yeah. We haven't had that for a long time, but they're doing it. The Revival, special after special, they keep pumping them out, and Matt will have to be the one that eventually defends American Alpha for Tag Team of the Year because the Revival are keeping themselves right up to date with it at the moment. But we'll see when that comes. But it's going to be one of the two of them. And Revival will keep putting on performances like this.
It's like I said to you earlier, so before we started recording, if I wasn't a fan of the Revival to begin with, I'm definitely a fan now.
Yeah, you're on board now. Yeah, that's it. It's unquestionable how good they are now. It's undebatable. All right, they are great. There's just no other way around it. They get the win here. They retain their championships by utilizing all of their dirty tricks, a good 10, 20 of them, it seemed. But the way that Ciampa and Gargano are performing recently, they are operating at an extremely high level. Right? Their match at the CWC, fantastic, phenomenal. This match, fantastic, phenomenal. They're on fire at the moment, these guys. And I would like to see them back again at the next takeover and see what in a couple of months as building them up properly as a tag team, because they were kind of forced together a little bit here.
Yeah.
How they would fare again, and we'll see another match with these guys, because I don't see another tag team in NXT that I would rather, they go against currently, but still.
I find it bizarre actually, because I think the only reason that they're not, I think the only reason they didn't win is actually because I don't think Ciampa is under contract yet.
Well, I don't know what else he can do to get signed. That's just not like he's doing.
I know he's doing I know he's doing a Progress show next month. So I think that may actually boil down to what it is, because he's still booked for indies.
Maybe it's one of those things that they're doing it with Samoa Joe.
Joe finished off some commitments, so I think that could be it.
Yeah. But it's like Cedric Alexander after his match with Kota Ibushi. It's like, what more can one person do to get signed? There literally isn't anything else. So he does deserve that. And even if he hasn't been signed, you get the feeling that the guys at NXT clearly like the guy. They clearly like the pair of them, and they want them around.
The crowd loved them.
Yeah. Moving on to the women's championship match, Asuka Bayley 2. They had the other members of the Four Horsewomen in the crowd. The camera panned to them just before.
I like how Charlotte was like away from the rest of them.
Yeah, as in storyline, right? This was a far better match, in my opinion, than their first match with Asuka and Bayley. It seemed like where was the last? It wasn't Dallas, was it? That she
it was Dallas.
Yeah, it was Dallas. It seemed that like either it was the crowd being exhausted from Nakamura's debut, or for some reason the structure of the match just didn't invoke the correct responses that they were banking on the first time around. This time it was a lot better. They got the responses that they wanted. They got the big spots where they needed them to be, and the awkwardness of the first match was not present here, in my opinion, at the very least. Because I don't know about you, Matt, but I felt like some points in that first match they were banking on the crowd to respond one way, and then
nothing happened. Yeah.
I just think this match as well, it was paced better and it was structured better. And so it helped facilitate those moments a little bit better. There was a moment here where Bayley hit her finisher, and you've got this great visual of her going for the pin, and you've got Sasha and Becky in the crowd jumping up. I thought it was an awesome camera shot. But Asuka kicks out. And talking of kicking out at people, Asuka just straight up just fucking kicks Bayley right in the head. Takes her out, retains her championship. And that's the end for Bayley in NXT. I mean, she did wave goodbye to the logo on her way out.
Yeah.
And with what we know now,
especially considering we never considered that. Like, there was no mention that it would be her final match, but even the crowd were just sort of like how they were going with it. We're just sort of like, oh, I guess it is.
Yeah. It's. I think the crowd knew. I think the crowd knew, and we knew beforehand that the call-up was coming. The only thing that was going to postpone it was a very short-lived title reign, which is what I predicted would happen. I got it wrong.
Yeah.
But, I tell you what a stint in the brand that she's had. You're talking a good couple of years, a very memorable championship victory and title reign.
Yep.
We're talking she had a match of the year with Sasha Banks last year, and the only thing that was close to it was her own match with Sasha Banks again, the sequel. So
yeah, well, that's it. When they had the was it like the NXT year awards or something? Like, first place was Brooklyn, second place was the Iron Woman match. So it's like, oh, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, even in our awards, Matt, we did it that way as well. We said there wasn't anything that really could come close to those two matches. There were some really good matches, but those were very special. And I tell you what, when you think of ultimate underdog faces of NXT, there's two names that immediately spring to mind. One of them is Sami Zayn, and the other one's Bayley. Yeah. They're almost on the opposite side of the gender fence there, but they are that role on either side. They were the underdog faces, and they were both champion. Bayley obviously had a bit more of a fortuitous championship reign, but they're the kind of gimmicks, Matt, that you look at them and you're like, I can't ever imagine you going heel. It just doesn't make sense. No. Bayley will be face for life, as she should be, but there we are. This leads to the main event, Matt, one that you've literally only just got around to watching as you've kind of did half and half sort of thing. So the NXT Championship match, the champion Samoa Joe facing the number one contender Shinsuke Nakamura. And Nakamura comes out first, and we get in an entrance mat that can only be described as straight up violin porn.
Yeah, that's safe to say.
Yeah. And everyone loved it. Everyone loved it. They've got this guy out there, and he's doing his thing with the violin. Nothing overly fancy. It's just him and his violin, but he is playing the fuck out of that violin. And he must have arms of steel because he does his own little solo, which lasted a couple of minutes. And then Nakamura is literally, he's in no rush to get to the ring. He's soaking it in. So there's another 4 minutes of that guy really going at it on the violin. I'm like, he must have arms of steel because he's not stopping. He's just going mental. But that was fun. That was fun. One thing I did hear, funny enough, on another podcast, I think it was, I can't even remember it now, but I'll remember it later. But it was like, if you imagine this at an NXT special, imagine a full orchestra at WrestleMania if he ever has an entrance there. Instantly, Matt, that basically gives me an erection right there. I'm like, okay, I'm on board for that. Whole orchestra doing Nakamura's entrance
Be great.
would be
so, you'd have to do it. The trouble is, I think Brooklyn is kind of like NXT's Mania, though.
in a manner of speaking, yeah.
So if they had to do it, I think I'll have to wait until Brooklyn. Yeah. Or it could always be held off until Mania.
Yeah, yeah. All I keep thinking though is that how awesome would it be if you do have I don't know, you just let Nakamura go crazy, right? You let him design his own entrance. He'll come up with some of the most batshit awesome madness, and it'll be awesome. So great stuff there. This match, so this is difficult. I thought personally the weakest of the 3 title matches, bar the last couple of let's say 5 minutes of this match, which I thought was excellent.
How do you mean the last 3 title matches?
So you've got all the title matches on the show. So I think
right, yeah.
This title match was the weakest in terms of in-ring quality.
Yes.
Now, that's not saying that it's bad. In fact, it was good, but it's just that tag team match was the best of the night. I think Asuka and Bayley really improved. At some points, this match, this slowed to a very, very, very slow pace. And it didn't have the same... It's strange when you think about it this way. It didn't have the same physicality as Nakamura's match with Sami Zayn did.
It didn't have the physicality that you were expecting. Because I was like, when they were making their entrances, I was like, this is going to be good. You've got King of Strong Style, and then you've got fucking Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh.
No, there was some moments. There
were some moments that were really good. But I think a lot of it, especially to the start, you essentially had Joe just trying to ground Nakamura the entire time.
Yeah. A lot of rest holds here and there.
I was going to say, it's too early in the match for a rest hold. Joe, come on.
Yeah. No, it's just, I wasn't a big fan of the pace of the match. But there was some moments here that when they picked it up, there was a bit here where Joe just straight up kneed Nakamura in the head, and it looked grisly. It looked...
yeah. I remember that running one.
Yes, he hit him, and towards the end of the match when Nakamura's starting a rally and he hits a Kinshasa, hits another Kinshasa to obviously finish the match. But, the match was still good. I don't want to rag on it too much, but let's just say I wasn't feeling it as much as I was some of the other ones. That's the only thing I will say.
Especially if someone like Nakamura's high profile matches. If you compare it to the one he had with Zayn and Balor.
Balor, even Styles at the beginning of the year in New Japan, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, they're under the NXT under the NXT banner.
Yeah.
But, I think it's sort of something didn't quite click.
Yeah, that's the only thing I'll say. But it was still okay.
I mean, the only thing that really clicked was Joe's jaw.
Exactly, yeah. Clicking a bit too much. Maybe that was the issue there with that. So, yeah, I'm very happy with the result. Nakamura beats Samoa Joe, becomes the NXT champion. And I'll tell you what, both the women's and NXT champions are both Japanese. They're both currently on an unbeaten streak. You can't say that there's at least one brand in WWE that treats their Japanese stars with the utmost respect, because clearly here they do. Both Asuka and Nakamura are both champions, and they haven't taken a single loss in that time. So, clearly, you know.
I forgot how much Asuka shouted.
She does scream a lot. That's good, though.
Yeah.
Except for the only thing I can say, though, is that, you know, in that build-up when the contract signed, she's like, okay. I was like, that was a bit weird. Yeah. She's just like shouting okay over and over and over again. But, okay, that's fine. All in all, then, Matt, talk about the show as a whole. I thought it was another great show to add to NXT's growing collection of specials now.
Oh, yeah.
We've got to see a couple of memorable debuts. Bobby Roode, Ember Moon being those debuts. Very memorable, very impressed. For different reasons, Ember Moon more for her in-ring work and Roode more for his presentation.
Rude, because it's rude.
Because it's glorious. That's the bottom line of it there. But that tag team match, Matt, that is clearly the match of the night. That was absolutely fantastic. Yeah,
and especially like when you had like Ciampa and Gargano like leaving the ring, like the revival had like left at that point, and the crowd was still just sort of like just eating it up.
Yeah, it was fantastic. It's I give this a watch over and over again rating, maybe a bit on the lower side, but that's still a glowing endorsement of the show, right? That's still matches I want to go back and watch again. That's the highest rating we can give. It's just, you know, I'm taping it down a little bit for a couple of the matches here and there, but still, well worth your time. Absolutely. And maybe, Matt, that does have something to do with the fact that you look at this card and you've got 6 matches total in 2 hours.
Yeah.
You know?
All matches that had, like, at no point did we have a match that I felt was rushed.
Yeah.
I think every match had the time it needed, especially, like, it must be, hang on, I'll quickly have a look into this. Like, I'm pretty sure that tag match was the longest match of the night.
I think it was, yeah. If not, it probably Nakamura and Joe, because they did have a lot of time towards the end, and they definitely soaked it in. But it's, but yeah, it's well worth your time. And if you're going to ask me to watch one show out of the, the 8-9 days of shows that we've had, it's NXT again. NXT is the one that claims that. And we're going to give our thoughts.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, go on.
Nakamura and Joe had 21 minutes. Revival and Gargano Ciampa 19.
Yeah.
So I think, to be fair, that must include entrances, because Nakamura's entrance took forever.
Well, no, I can understand the Nakamura and Joe match being a lot longer. It's that Gargano and Ciampa and the Revival, theirs was a lot more chock block full of content, whereas Nakamura and Joe, there was a lot of rest holds here and there at the beginning. Yeah, we went into that anyway. But what's your rating of the show, Matt? Are you giving it as high as I have? Have you got?
Definitely. I'll probably go back and watch. I know full well I'll definitely go back and watch the tag match. Yeah. That's almost a certainty.
And it's one of those things, Matt. There was enough good stuff on the show that I wouldn't mind watching the whole show again.
Yeah.
With even if the main thing I am interested in is that tag team match, you know, which for me is the rating. That's literally the epitome of what the rating is of a watch over and over again, because I would be happy watching it once more. So, positive glowing review here of the show. Would love to hear what you guys think of NXT Takeover Brooklyn 2 Electric Boogaloo with Turbo Tony doing all the dance moves, which I'm doing right now, Matt, because you know I can dance.
Is it the robot? Yeah. I hope it's the robot.
It is. That's the only one I've got, really. I don't really have much else.
That's it. I know that's your full arsenal of dance.
Yeah. I don't claim to have many moves, but I have one, and that's more than I had. Yeah, I can't really do that well, so there you go.
Keep going, you'll be like Nakamura level.
Yeah, I'm digging myself into a hole here, Matt. You know how it is. I'm digging myself in. All right, guys, if you did enjoy this episode, of the Let's Talk More Wrestling podcast and this review, then you can leave a like, or you can leave your comments, questions, your thoughts of the show in the comments section below. I even forget to do the plugs earlier on the show, so I better do them now, really. You can interact with us. The main way of doing so is our Facebook page, facebook.com/letstalkwrestlingpodcast. You can also tweet us at the Twitter handle of
@TalkWrestlePod.
You can indeed. And of course, you can send us any audio questions or private emails to letstalkwrestlingpodcast@gmail.com. Until then, stay safe, guys. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow for the SummerSlam review. Let's just say a little bit more controversy, a little bit more displeasure, but still an interesting discussion to be had there. So we'll look forward to talking about that. But until then, guys, take it easy, and we'll catch you next time.
We'll catch you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.